Hey y'all, welcome to Lady Rams Unlocked. I am Kamryn Gibson, former Lady Ram, and I'm here with head coach Coach Hyland. Hey coach, how are you today?
Glad to be here.
Awesome. Okay, so we've had a long stretch of season, haven't talked in a while. How are you feeling just overall before we get into like actual questions? How are you feeling about the season overall and looking forward?
It's been a challenge. There's no question. Our youth has shown through a little bit more than I had hoped it would. We've had some little injuries here and there that have slowed us down, but I think just overall our learning curve has not progressed quite as quickly as I had hoped. We'll sit down and reevaluate why that was, after the season. But
Right.
but as of right now, I do like the progress we're making. We're playing some good basketball. We're getting better. We just got to keep the momentum going in this key stretch of games we have coming up.
Yeah, and I mean, we see those spurts. We've seen them in and out of the season, like your game against MacU and most recently OPSU. But what did you see in that MacU game that kind of told you that they were getting it together in that game?
Well, I thought we defended really, really well. MacU is an explosive scoring team. They've got 7 shooters.
Wow.
They can put 4 or 5 shooters on the floor the whole game, and we held them, I believe, under 60,
Right.
which was remarkable. Now, I think some of that had to do with, probably they not playing as well as they typically do, but I'd like to think our defense had a little bit to do with that. We're still struggling to find points, but we were able to just junk it up enough to keep them off balance and found a way to win it down the stretch.
Was there a specific point where you thought, hey, we're going to win this game?
With about a second to go, it was pretty much, it was tight throughout. And again, a team like that can put points up so fast, you're never really comfortable.
Mm. And I mean, what habits do you think that you've been preaching all season kind of showed up in this game?
Again, some of the things we did defensively.
Yeah.
I thought we rebounded well. If I remember right, it was a game we didn't turn the ball over, which has gotten much, much better here in recent weeks. It was just a very awkward game, like I said, and that
Yeah.
was mostly due to us just really making it uncomfortable, I think, for them and in some of our ability to change defenses and take away certain personnel and make other people on their team have to score that aren't comfortable scoring necessarily. And so it was one of those games that just really never had a good rhythm to it, and it ended up working in our favor.
Well, I think that it was more than just, a fluke. I think the girls played really, really well that game. I mean, you can hear me boast about it on the stream, but I think they played really well along with the senior night game. What a part of their identity kind of evolved in that senior night game. They seem to be having a lot of fun on the court. I think those games are good for them.
Yeah, it was a great night. We've just really, in all 3 years here, we've had tremendous success with Oklahoma Panhandle State. They've struggled against our defenses. They struggled to shoot the ball against us, but we did execute really well, I thought, on both ends of the floor. We got some great stops that turned into easy scores in transition. I think we had 3 people scoring double figures, which hadn't happened in a while. And
I mentioned that.
We did have some really good balance in our scoring. But, again, we were able to get a lead early and maintain it, and that brought some comfort, I think, to the players and it really helped them relax, something that we need to try to do more of.
Yeah, they seem, like I said, they seem to be having a lot of fun, and more to your testament of OPSU kind of being not the target of the season. I had mentioned that, something. They have 2 teams in the bottom of the SAC right now. I was just wondering maybe if has something to do with recruitment, and I mean, I guess that would move me towards you since you are losing a good amount of seniors, not quite like the men's team, but a good amount of seniors that built this team with you, Peyton Foster, Sophia Hurtado, Aisha Goldman. I got to speak with Sophia and Peyton for a minute, and obviously they had nothing but good things to say. This program has built them up to be the women that they're about to graduate as, and they just attribute a lot of their success to you. And what do you think recruiting is going to be like for next year? What is your mindset going into next year? Are you still going JUCO, or what are we thinking?
Yeah, we've signed 2 high school players early.
Okay, awesome.
That a point guard and then a stretch 4 that can really shoot it. Both are very athletic. We'll probably look to bring in 3 to 4 more.
Yeah.
And more than likely go the transfer route. We're, again, this has been kind of a big bump in the road in terms of the progression that we were wanting to make, and so some things, again, have kind of come to light in terms of our ability to score. We need to improve in that area, and I think it's always going to be hard for a high school player to come in as a freshman and have an immediate impact, especially with scoring. And so I think the transfer route there is going to be a key. We need to get some size, which again, size that can play. We're going to have to try to find a transfer, and we've got 1 or 2 at every spot that we've identified. It's now a matter of continuing to work and help try to impress them with our program, our institution, and the direction that we're going, and try to finalize those recruits and get them here for next year.
And I know you said something along the lines of scoring not being kind of on the forefront of players' minds. Sometimes it's not in you, or it's on you, it's something like that, one of those sayings. But it's sometimes, if you're not a scoring player, it gets to be tough in these slumps of season. Have you seen any role players kind of move into their role, change up their role? What have you seen the evolution of these players this season?
Sure. Well, before I answer that, I will say one of the big differences from last year to this year is I didn't have a problem with scoring mindset last year. Yourself, Taryn, Sav had that mentality. Yeah. And you're right, not everybody does. Mm-hmm. And that's been, we've never had that to this extent this year. And so, Kamryn Phillips has been solid. We've asked a lot of her in terms of her minutes have gone up a bit.
Yeah, I saw that.
She's continuing to find ways to score. Sophia Hurtado, because of how Kamryn scores, which is predominantly in the paint, it's forced Soph to have to move out on the perimeter, where she's become one of our best 3-point shooters.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much.
Same with Peyton. We in the past we'd use Peyton a little bit inside, outside. Now she's strictly out on the perimeter, and arguably our best 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
And so, some of those seniors in particular that we've asked to take on different different roles in how they score has been a work in progress, but they've embraced it and I think done a great job. Nala Richardson is really starting to get comfortable and has stepped her game up, I think, in a scoring mindset. Those have been, I think, some of the big ones. We've had our ups and downs at the point guard spot. I think Anaya Sanford has finally found her a good rhythm and whatnot, and has been much more steady. Her turnovers have dropped tremendously. We're getting a few more assists out of her, but just again, getting us into offense. And then Kayla Spates minutes have declined a bit, but we've actually seen her production kind of go up. And similar to Anaya, her turnovers are dropping, the assists are coming up, and so we're. I wish this could have happened in December, January, but here late January, early February is when you want to start peaking, and I feel like we're headed in the right direction. And with these last 6 games, hopefully we can continue that momentum get some wins under our belt and get ready for the conference tournament.
Yeah, especially with those players coming back next year. I mean, that's always great to see that type of sifting and improvement coming from them. So I'm glad to see, I'm glad to have seen it with my own eyes. What are some of the things that you've told them, some hard coaching terms or hard coaching matters that you've had to go through, and how have they taken it this season?
It's everybody's a little bit different.
Right. I know. Trust me, I know.
The veterans have been great.
Yeah.
Because they believe in what we're doing. I think they believe in the coaching staff, and they understand that we do want what's best for them, and we want them to have a great senior year. With newcomers and freshmen, it's always a battle because there's still that transition of us getting to know them getting to know us, building that trust and those relationships. And again, we've seen, as a result, some of the freshmen, it's been an up and down thing.
Yeah.
Again, I'll go back to, Nala, I think has really, really grown and developed. Starting to see some really good things out of Kennedy Holmes. Her confidence in rebounding and starting to be a little bit more aggressive in terms of just pulling up, shooting the mid-range jumper, not having to get to the basket every time. And so, I don't know if there's anything that I've said or done specifically that has triggered some of that. I think a lot of it has just been trying to help everybody find what they can do well and how they can do it. As our, we've had to tweak the system a little bit. How they can help produce has kind of changed a little bit along the way, and so it has been a very different type of season. It's been difficult, but I really, like I said, I really like where we're at right now. I like the direction that we're headed. We just got to put together 3 or 4 more good wins here, and have that momentum going into the conference tournament.
And seasons like this, they build character. They build culture for the team. They build expectations for the people coming in. Who do you think that this now team is becoming in comparison to who they were earlier on this season?
Boy, that's a great question. I think to an extent we're still trying to find that.
Right.
One of the things that we have talked about a lot here in the last, couple of games and yesterday pre-practice was, I did tell them that I feel like, our defense has been a staple for us. I believe that we're seeing things that have us on the cusp of being a great defensive team that, we can rely on day in and day out. And as I told them, let's face it, scoring is something we're struggling at. We got to hold teams to under 60 points.
Yeah.
If we can hold teams into the 50s and the 40s, like we've shown we can do, we're going to win. And so yesterday in practice, we really did. We saw a lot of effort, a lot of pride in our defense. They took things to another level, and I hope we can continue to do that.
Yeah, you gotta love seeing. As a coach, I'm not a coach, but I get to watch all of this, unfold as the season goes on, and I don't know. I can imagine that you're proud to just see them evolving, whether that's into scorers or not, or just better defensive players.
Right.
It's got to be rewarding. So, what are some of the things that are moving forward? We're raising the bar. What are things that are no longer acceptable? What are things that you're going to expect from those future Rams?
For this season?
For this season, going on.
Right now, as I said, there has to be an emphasis on our defense.
Yeah.
We've got to be a great defensive team. We need to learn how to win some of these close games, and that's been one that has gotten us. We've had 3, 4, 5 games that have come down to the wire that we have not been able to win. That in previous years we have. And
would you attest that to grit, or?
I think it's a combination of we have not had the depth in scoring as we've had in the past, which makes us a little bit more predictable on what we're going to do late in games. I think again, our youth and inexperience, whether it be high school players or freshmen that, were in high school last year, or even, some of the transfers.
A lot of the transfers are
Trying to
freshmen.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a learning curve there. And so one of the things that has happened is there's so much learning going on in other areas, offensively, defensively. We probably haven't had as much time to spend on end of game situations and some things like that. So we maybe haven't been as comfortable as we would like. I think we've gone through enough of them now. We've tried to do some things in practice where we've gotten better. There's confidence now in certain things we can go to offensively to get points.
Yeah.
And then, as I said, a stronger belief in what we're doing defensively, where they know we're going to get stops. I think both of those things will need to continue as we move forward, to next year and beyond. Our defense is always going to have to be a staple for us. But being able to better find, 2 or 3 scoring options that are on the floor late, and if one is taken away, the others know how to play off of that and can get their shot.
Yeah, that tends to be the biggest thing, is just kind of knowing when to do the play, when to play basketball. And I mean, as a coach, that can be hard. I mean, that's not something that's easy to coach, knowing basketball and knowing to, when and when not to. I know I struggled with that for a long time. And I mean, coming here, I was surrounded by people that I could get the ball to. So it made it a lot easier, but it's never perfect.
Right.
But
you got that right.
But moving forward, we have Southwest Christian coming up. What are we game planning? What are we thinking for this game?
Yeah, a team I think that's a good matchup for us. When we went up to their place, I think we had Anaya was laboring a bit with an ankle and didn't play much. I know we had about 4 that were really sick, and we didn't get much out of, and yet after 3 quarters we're still up.
Right.
And we kind of hit the wall at that point, but we battled and again showed some good things heading into that game, or this upcoming game. I think, again, our ability to recognize where they're getting their points, which they've got a couple of very good scores on the perimeter as well as inside, a couple of really good shooters that we've got to have an awareness of, and we're showing the ability to take certain players out of their game and eliminate them as scoring threats. It comes back to now us being able to execute on the offensive end and generate some points.
Yeah, especially with these, teams that you match up well with. What are some things that you've been focusing on in practice to make sure that, you're ready for this game? Like we said, we want to, turn those close games into wins. And there's been so many times where I won't say so many, but there's been a few times where we've dropped the ball on that, and it happens. It happens. So what are we putting in place right now to kind of focus on getting this win and making it's on home court? So home court is always supposed to be a win.
Yeah. We've really, again, we've streamlined what we do offensively to really try to take 4 or 5 things and let's be great at them, and certain ways to get certain people shots, out of those. And so a better understanding, outside of that, again, just through our scouting report, identifying what Southwest Christian is going to do, as well as, future opponents, and who we really have to focus on, trying to take away. It's always going to be a challenge, because at the same time, your opponent is they're making changes, they're making adjustments, and so it is that it comes back to again us just being confident in what we do, doing it to the best of our ability, and when it comes down to the crunch time at the end, how can we get stops? How can we get points? And I feeling a lot more confident in that with this group right now than I was probably 3-4 weeks ago.
Well, I love to hear that, and I'm excited to watch the game. And see the development, see what went into practice, all of the things. I'm wishing you the best of luck. I will be screaming just as loud as Coach. Not with the headset on. When the headset's off, then I'll scream. But I try to refrain from it. But what is something that you're, you know what is a word for this game? What is a phrase, a word, something that you want this game to represent or that'll represent this game for you guys?
You know, I think just one, we've got to have a lot of self-discipline.
Self-discipline.
You know, again, coming back to, we have a tendency of when some things go wrong, we'll have certain people that want to try to start doing things outside of their abilities, outside of our system. And it has a tendency of compounding the problem, not fixing it necessarily. We're just not at that point yet with enough individual talent where we have people that can do that on a consistent basis. And so having the self-discipline to again, believe in what we do and believing in each other and together we'll find a way to get it done, I think is going to be a key.
I know that I feel that so many of these players remind me of myself in the way that they play. And hearing you say that, as I know that it's been told to me before, and watching the games now, I can see it a lot clearer. So any Rams looking to not listen to Coach Hyland on that point, I'd say listen to him. You'll be a lot more successful. But wishing you the best of luck. Thank you for talking with me. And hopefully they tune in next time to watch Lady Rams Unlocked. Bye, guys.
Thanks.